Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Office of the State Controller's Quick Vids training series. These videos are designed to help state agencies record and verify various accounting requirements within RSTARS based on guidance from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. I'll be walking you through the lease fact pattern for the example transactions we'll be posting into RSTARS. For our example lease, we have a term of 5 years or 60 monthly payments. There's a monthly payment of $20,000 and an interest rate of 4%. We entered this information into the T-Value software, and you can see the results in the amortization schedule on the right. It gave us a present value of minimum future lease payments of $1,086,370. The total annual lease payments are $60,000, which is split between principal and interest. Interest is the $10,084, and principal is the $49,915. Finally, we have a monthly amortization of $18,106. This is calculated by taking the total present value of minimum lease payments plus any costs associated with establishing the lease, if any. In our example, there are no additional costs to include. Therefore, we would simply use the $1.08 million that we found previously. We then take that total and divide it by the shorter of the lease term length or the useful life of the asset. For our example, the lease term length is shorter, and so we used 60 months. The annual amount for this year would be the $18,106 multiplied by the number of months remaining in the year, which is 4. This brings us to a total annual amortization of $72,424. In the next few videos, we will walk through the journal entries and how to enter them into RSTARS.
I will be entering a single transaction to record amortization of the leased asset over the life of the lease in the government-wide reporting fund. Our lease information shows the total amortization of this lease at 6/30/2024 is $72,424.71. I have already mapped out my entry with the document number, T code, and accounting elements I will need to use. This information is shown at the top of the screen. Make sure you are logged into RSTARS under the correct user class to make the entry. For this entry to amortize the lease at fiscal year end, I will be using user class 27. Navigate to the 500 screen to enter the batch header. On the batch header, enter your agency number. In this case, I will be using agency 107. Enter the batch date or leave it blank. I will be leaving it blank to default to today's date. Enter the batch type. In this example, I will be using batch type 4. Follow your agency procedures to assign a batch number. I will be using batch number 874 for this entry. You may enter the expected batch count and batch amount or leave these fields blank. The batch edit mode defaults to edit mode 2. And I will be leaving the batch header effective date blank, so it will default to today's date. Press F10 to save the batch header and move to the transaction entry screen. Input the information from the entry above into the screen. I'm going to keep the effective date the same as what populated. I'm going to enter my JV document in the current document field. Enter the T code, the PCA, the agency object, the amount, document amount. This document amount will be the same as the transaction amount since there's only one transaction. The description, and in this case, I also need to enter a GL. 0886 will amortize equipment. for leased equipment. Press F4 to pull in any lookup fields. It brought in the comp object of 7480 for the amortization of leased equipment and machinery, and it also brought in the fund. If everything looks good on the screen, press F10. The transaction was successfully written. I only have one transaction, so I can move to the F6 screen to see if my batch is in balance. I can see the batch is in balance. Everything looks good on this screen. So that completes my entry to record amortization for this lease in the government-wide reporting fund at fiscal year end. And this batch would be ready for review and release.
We have generated the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports to verify the information was recorded properly. The examples used in these videos were created within the acceptance region. Since OB does not include the acceptance region, we ordered the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports. But under normal circumstances, the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports within the OB repository will show the same information. These reports are used by your SARS analyst in conjunction with agency disclosures to evaluate if balances and activities are recorded correctly for proper reporting in the DAFR. Therefore, it's important to review either these DAFR reports or OB queries regularly and during the year-end closing process. Scrolling through the reports briefly, we can verify the information. In the previous portion of our training, we walked you through recording $72,424 of lease amortization expense. We see it here on the DAFR 6610 for the government-wide reporting fund in agency object 7480. This rolls up to comptroller object 7480 as well, representing amortization of leased equipment and machinery, which is appropriate. Turning to the DAFR 6620, we also see it in the government-wide reporting fund in GL account 0886 for accumulated amortization of leased equipment and machinery, which is also appropriate. These transactions have been recorded correctly.